You know, I wasn't born in this community. I chose it. I chose it because I had a passion for this community. And when I look around here, I know it's hard to face, but I can see that many of us are in the second half of our life. I'm in the last quarter of mine, and I personally don't have a lot of long-term. But I do think that, and I know you people have a lot of passion also. Every time I'm here, I see you say people. I know you come with a lot of passion. And I think part of that then is to really collectively long-term think. And I know you know that, but it just seems so critical on this issue. The long term is so critical. We have to put aside our, you know, in my case, my short term and really think long term. The other thing I've been thinking of is my kids have left Fredericton. They don't share my passion. I'm very sad about that. But you know, when they do come back to visit, do they want to go up and see what the university has already developed? Is that a big draw for them? When you have visitors, is that where you take them to see what the university has already developed there? Are your constituents calling you and saying, wow, look what the university's done. I really trust them. They're doing the best. That's such a showcase for our community. I don't know, are they? I'd really like to know. Is that how people feel about what the university has done so far? I think we need to demand A+ from them. We can do that. We really can. We need to demand A+ from them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kevin Matthews? Sean Bartone here? No, okay. Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to do this. My name is Kevin Matthews. I am with the Conservation Council of New Brunswick. As many of you are probably aware, the council has been around for quite a while in the province of New Brunswick and is considered quite a leader in terms of environmental protection, at least in terms of trying to get legislation changed in ways that actually protect our environment. If you've noticed, each of the councillors have a little pack of cards here, which is a new campaign that we've launched on biodiversity, and it just has it's a pack of 5 cards, which are blank on the inside, and they come with envelopes. And it's George Hashey, who many of you may already know, who used to go to the market and sell his photos. So we try to, you know, use a lot of local people, etc. But it's celebrating our biodiversity. Now, you know, in general, the animals can't really speak for themselves. So organizations like the Conservation Council try to speak for them in some way. And tonight, I start off by saying very simply that the Conservation Council does not agree with any further development in the UNB woodlot. And to try and make the point a little bit more, and I know Mark kind of touched on it, is there's someone from the engineering department here from the site tonight. Yes. Now, last December, we had a rain event which brought the flood levels up in our rivers quite high. I mean, we were reaching springtime floods. Would we all agree with that? Yes, we would, wouldn't we? Over the parking lots, etc. So I also understand that the storm sewer was not able to actually handle the capacity of all that water when it was coming down the hills and stuff. Is that not true, Sean? Do you want to just direct your comments to me and make your presentation? If you have a question, I'll take a question.
Well, that's my question. Okay. My question is, did that storm sewer system not...
Mr. Lee, in the event of that rain event that we had, can you respond to this question, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Some storm sewers are designed with 1 in 10 year storm event. The December rain was a 25-year event, so yes, our storm sewers were exceeded.
Okay.
So the answer is, I didn't quite hear it.
The answer is it was a 1 in 25 year, and because of the severity of the event, they were not able to handle it.
Right. Okay, but we've also had those events earlier as well. Did we not? We had a similar event as well, and I think it was like 2001, where it actually tore up the part of the bottom end of Smythe Street. It actually took the pavement out, twisted the road up a bit. Was that 2001?
Okay.
Okay. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's less than 25 years. Now, normally we talk about these events in 100 years, a 100-year event, etc., etc. But we all know from our experience of living in this city and seeing our environment change that we are getting more of these events. In fact, the snow that we're seeing tonight, and we've been seeing constantly, I've never seen it sort of constantly snow so much. So in fact, we could all agree that our environment is changing. Everything that's out, everything we read in the news, it's all telling us that our environment is very clearly changing. Do we agree?
Mr. Matthews?
Yes?
It's not a test.
No, it's not a test. I'm asking, it's a question. I'm
We're not
saying,
gonna-
do we not agree that we're all feeling these effects? We're all human beings, we're all citizens of this
Sir, council is not going to respond every time you have a question like that. That's not how it works. We're here to hear your presentation, and if you have an objection, we'd like to hear it.
Well, this is actually part of my presentation.
We all agree.
To try to...
Okay, let me try to answer. We all agree that there are things that are happening that haven't happened before, in places where they've never happened before. We all agree that global warming is a problem that is being dealt with by governments around the world. All of those things.
Okay. So I get your acknowledgement that we're in trouble, in effect, right?
We know, it's just...
Yeah. So to take any more of the capacity out of the UNB would like in terms of its retention in water, I think will sort of head us down that road to further disaster. But I just want to sort of walk through a little bit of history here. The council's been around for 40 years. I mean, well, actually, it's 41 years now. It was actually started by some very prominent people, Milne Gregg, some people who were really concerned originally with the loss of the salmon in the St. John River. We went on for 40 years, and in that 40 years, we have accumulated an incredible library of books and knowledge. And you can go in there and get any of that. And what I've done is I've brought a few samples. Like, for example, this book was actually 1969. And the title of the book, in effect...
Sorry. Yeah, Claire?
Yes, thank you, Worship. I wonder if we could stick to the objections that he has with the development that's here.
Yeah.
In the interest of...
That's fair. Okay, this isn't about the salmon. Just please make the presentation. I should have a little bit about it. We certainly appreciate you being here, appreciate your objections, we'd like to hear them.
Yeah, well, I'm getting there. Okay? Bear with me. So, at the same time that we had all these books on environmental crisis, we also had people who came up with all kinds of solutions. There's ways out of this mess that we're in now, right? Okay? And then it got so bad, and it is so bad, that we're now actually questioning the future of life itself. And we're all part of this, of course, right? And the way we act and perform, like over time, we've been chipping away bits at a time, like at the UNB woodlot, paving over pieces of it, so we see the impact of that later. Too much water coming down our hill. This is the reality. We are living with this, no question. Now it's no longer a question of, what might happen, or if we don't do something, this could happen. Things are happening. We are seeing flood events. We are seeing the damage being done. It is going to cost us more. And now all the publications we see are about what is happening, what we are losing now in our environment. Okay? So the reports, add it all up for us. So we're part of those same people on the planet. We're contributing to the same things. We are not isolated from this. We need to take steps within our community to protect ourselves from these environmental impacts that are happening. That's a reality. There's no question about it. Now, just one other little book here called A Short History of Progress. And this was actually a CBC Massey Lecture series by Ronald Wright. It's a brilliant book. If anybody wants to read about where we've come from and where we are now and where we're headed and which way we could go if we choose to pave over the woodlot or not, where that might take us, you'll want to read this book. It's unbelievable. It's short, too. And it's very simple. Anyhow, despite all of that, the the Conservation Council completely does not understand how it is that the UND Woodlot, which was an endowment to the university, which is a public institution, how come all of a sudden it's being used for private interest, for private development? This is effectively public land that somehow has been taken away from the public and begun to be used for commercial development. Where is the public interest in it? Where is the public say in that? And how that is happening? You know, for reasons that I've stated earlier, and for many others, including wildlife, biodiversity, the health and safety of people in this city, the Conservation Council objects to any further development that goes on in the woodland. And we call upon the university to stand up and take its responsibilities as an institution of higher learning. You know, they've got a lot of people up there that should know better than to be developing those lands. And in fact, I'm willing to bet that if you poll the faculty up there, they will tell you that most of them object to what's going on up there. They can't do anything because for some reason, somehow, their input no longer matters. This is no longer a public piece of property. Somehow it's been wrestled away again into private hands. And we would like to see the city take a leadership role in developing something other than paving over the UND woodlot. You could turn it into a community forest. There are a lot of cities on this planet who make a lot of money from their community forests. There are a lot in Canada. I've seen several in Germany who actually get a lot of revenue by cutting trees, but doing it quite sustainably, and lots of recreational benefits. And they employ numbers of staff to maintain those forests, etc. So there is another way of looking at it. If you believe all of the news that we've been hearing about the collapse of our systems, etc., our new thinking should be restoration, repairing and replacing, and no longer doing any more damage to any of the natural systems that remain. And to that, I thank you very much for your time and for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matthews, for the presentation. We also have Andrew Matheson and Richard Smith here if there's any questions from council.